Hello, I'm Annie Sloan.
And I'm Tristan Merriam.
And this is The Colourist,
a podcast about colour and its influence on our lives.
Yeah.
So, what does a sea snail have in common with the Annie Sloan colour Tyrian Plum? This is not a bad Christmas cracker joke. It is, in actual fact, the topic of our discussion today. So, Annie, please elaborate.
So it's Tyrian Plum is the colour. And so Tyrian, that's what it's all about. There's a place in Lebanon, still there today, but it was the ancient city of Tyre. It's mentioned in the Bible. It's an ancient city. Goes back, thousands of years. And it's where they made this colour, and it came from Tyre. So I called it Tyrian.
And in terms of where the colour came from...
Well,
sea snails?
Sea snails.
Come on.
Mean, it's weird,
I can't,
isn't it?
yeah, it's very, very bizarre.
It is very weird. And also that you needed thousands of them. I mean, the city must have been
poor snails.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
So thousands and thousands of tiny little sea snails were used to produce the tiniest amount of dye. So
yes.
This was not a paint at this time. This was going way, way back. Mm-hmm. It was a dye, and presumably with such a extensive production process, this was used for the elite, the very, very wealthy.
Yeah. Well, it was because you could make this, but you couldn't make very much of it. That was the whole point. So you would crush all these thousands and thousands of poor old snails, and then you would get this tiny bit of essence that would give this wonderful colour. But it was still expensive, and so this was not for your average. And I think at those times too, I know in medieval Britain that if you were seen in the street with a certain colour, that would be it. If you were not born to that colour, you couldn't do it. So people would know. Mm-hmm. So you couldn't just be like, I'll just steal a little bit and take it home. No. So it would only be sold to the emperor, yes, or the whoever
highest of society.
Highest in
types.
Society. Yeah.
Amazing. And it stopped being made, didn't it, in the 15th century?
Yes.
And why is that? Do we know? Was it just a ridiculously silly process?
I think it was a long process.
And they thought, actually, this is too much work.
I do think there was some other colour that came in at that point, and I can't remember what it would be. But what had happened, it wasn't really available until... until the 19th century. After that, as a colour and a paint.
Yes.
So yeah, that's a good question. Why was it? I don't remember.
But it was very rare at the time because of the process.
But it's become known in history. I mean, as soon as you start looking up Tyrian Plum, and it was the Phoenician, I haven't mentioned, this was one of the capitals of the Phoenician Empire. The Phoenician Empire was huge and really, really important. And it sort of did stop a little bit with the Romans taking over. And so probably the Roman Empire, that's decreasing, that would have stopped it. That was later, of course.
Alexander the Great.
Oh, yes, he did as well. He took over.
Taking it over.
Yeah, yeah.
I sound like I know all this. It's your notes, but yes.
And I learn it, and then I go, yeah, that all makes sense, and now I don't remember it. But
no, well, it's a lot.
It's a lot to remember, but also, in the end, what is important is the colour and the strength of this colour, and also that the story of this has become sort of, people love it. What I think is really fascinating is that the colour... usually with dyes, the more you wash it, it gets weaker and weaker. But with this dye, apparently it got in the sun and it got stronger and stronger and richer and richer.
That is amazing.
Isn't that amazing?
That's sort of magical.
I know.
That doesn't happen.
I know.
That's completely, as you say, the opposite to any other colour.
Well, we know it. We wash our things.
Yes.
Yeah, apparently. So, and of course, it still can be made. So that's why they've done tests. They found out.
We got paint now. We got Tyrian Plum chalk paint now. So we don't need snails. We're okay. So this was obviously very much associated with wealth and power. As we've said, the colour purple was exclusively used for the robes of the emperors. But there's also a story that you'd put in your notes here about a punishable by death phrase.
Oh, yeah, it's a great
story.
Expand on this? You tell the story. Okay. It's so good.
So these are your Your words. So, born to the purple originates from the Byzantine imperial practice of having empresses give birth in a special chamber lined with purple porphyry stone to signify legitimate royal birth.
Exactly.
So the power of purple.
Yes.
I mean, I think that's a film as well, isn't it? There is anyway. But yeah, it had huge significance.
Yes, yeah. It's funny though. It sort of still does. People are a bit like, "Oh, that's a special colour."
We spoke a little bit about this when we did Rodmel, didn't we?
Yeah.
And there are similarities, but yes, it's used in a lot of uniforms and royal family stuff we've spoken about before, haven't we?
Yeah. So it's still retained that feel about it, and also I think it's amazing because actually it goes incredibly well with gold. And I sort of, because of my time, my age, it's got very hippie overtones. So for me, it's not my favourite colour. I've got many friends who think it's absolutely fantastic. But I do now, I'm sort of partly having used Tyrian Plum, which I know when I brought it out, I did say, I didn't know I missed this colour. Yeah. I needed this colour.
Is that because you were so kind of caught in the hippie era and you thought of it in a different way and not in the sophisticated, grand, beautiful...
Well, having said that, this vase is my favourite vase ever.
You love this jug.
I do.
It's gorgeous.
Well, I call it's a vase because I use it as a vase. I've never used it as a jug because it's huge.
Mulled wine?
Mulled wine.
I mean, I think that needs to happen
You're drinking a lot
at
of mulled
wine. Yes.
I think it's beautiful. Partly because look how well it goes with green.
With eucalyptus green, it is magical. So actually, the equivalent would be coolabah.
Coolabah. Actually, all plants and flowers, it just goes so well with. I really, really love it. And I noticed, I bought it thinking I like the shape. Anyway, then I started using flowers, and every flower looked wonderful. It can be orange flowers, blue flowers, anything. It always looks good. And so I didn't know there was something special about it. Anyway. And
that's interesting. I'm sort of skipping ahead a little bit, but it's relevant because I think people do struggle to introduce purple or, plum into their home. But you've just sort of proved that theory wrong, that pretty much any colour of flower goes with it. It works. So
yes, and I remember now, I did a book on gardens, the painted garden many, many years ago. And that's when I also discovered, I was thinking of things to paint in the garden. I did all sorts of, and I did old violet in the garden. And it looks amazing.
Because it's a similar tone, sort of.
Well, it makes lots of green in the garden. What do you do as a sort of something to set it against? And I just thought it looked fantastic. I really loved it. And I would never have thought it.
No.
It was just playing about and putting different... oh, God, that looks good.
Well, we can get people doing an experiment here. Because if you're thinking, I'd like to introduce a little bit of Tyrian Plum or purple into my home, find a jug or a vase, paint it in Tyrian Plum, which can be done, any ceramics or metal or wood, and use it as a vase with flowers and see if it works in your home and do a little experiment.
Yeah, because you can paint.
Yeah.
Actually, that is a really good idea.
Yeah.
We could paint some vases.
And just test it out. Because it's a very easy way of introducing something into your home. Yeah. You might not want to paint a huge chest of drawers or a wardrobe or a wall, which we'll come on to.
Yeah.
But a jug or a vase.
Easy peasy.
Easy peasy.
Yeah.
So, anyway, back to my notes. It's quite ridiculous that the colour purple wasn't available as a paint until 1856. When you actually think about that, that's not very long ago.
It's not very long, no.
That it wasn't in our lives in paint form, which is ridiculous.
It is incredible. Yeah, I agree. Actually, you've said that, and you are absolutely right, but there is a colour, but it would only be used really by artists because it's a manganese colour, and there is... You see art colours, art paints have got a colour called, I think it's violet manganese. I think that's what it's called. Anyway, so manganese in the earth is quite purpley, but it's not like purple.
No.
But it is a sort of actually it's really beautiful, but you could never have produced it in the
But that
numbers.
was prior to 1856.
So that would have sort of been a medieval or Renaissance sort of colour. I mean, artist colours. Anyway, I digress. Back to
It was William Perkin who created. Is it pronounced Mauvine?
Mauvine, yes. Yeah.
And tell us what that is.
Well, Mauvine is actually what became alizarin crimson, and we talked about that in the Burgundy episode. So that is where you make this colour, which you could. He was trying to find quinine and ended up with making this Mauvine colour, which he then realised, oh, this is amazing. I can now use that in paint. They say he did it accidentally, but I'm not sure if he did.
We talk a lot about people with happy accidents, don't we? And I think it's great. But that's when it really became a large industrial scale and was able to be distributed and bought and used in people's homes.
And why the Victorian era is quite purple. You know, it's burgundy and sort of Tyrian plum colours. It's rather lovely.
And we've had this discussion similarly with Rodmel, but the P word, purple, it kind of does scare people a little bit. They have strong opinions on purple, but your colour, Tyrian Plum, describe it. I mean, it's this jug that we've just spoken about here. That is not painted in Tyrian Plum.
No,
that's
just happens to be. But it's quite. I didn't make it what I would call purple, but it is quite purple. But I think words like aubergine or eggplant, depending what country you're in, and plum, I think that makes it a beautiful, beautiful colour. It sounds to me lovely. I mean, plum.
It's a bit like burgundy in some ways. So the way your colour burgundy is, it's very deep and rich, and it sort of just is it's classy, it's sophisticated, and I sort of see Tyrian Plum on the same sort of level. I don't mean colour wise, but they're very similar sort of colours in the range, I'd say.
Yes, they've got a similarity. They're very deep. When you add white to them, they completely change. That's something, you're right. They completely change. They are similar in that because, burgundy turns into quite a lovely pink, bright pink. And Tyrian turns into a sort of lilac-y colour.
Does it? And that's something I haven't done.
Oh, it's actually quite lovely. I haven't done much about it, but I know because every colour I make, I always add white because that gives you the quality of it. And of course, as I don't add white, black to my colours, it won't go grey. It'll be this beautiful. It is a very nice colour.
Yeah,
actually.
I haven't. That's really funny that I haven't
Have
actually
a go.
done that. So it's a chalk paint, but you also have it as a wall paint within the range, and this is where it leads us into interior design and room decor. And one of your favourite designers, who is David Hicks, and we've spoken about him before a little bit. Tell us what inspires you from his work.
So David Hicks, he died some years ago. He's an English designer and he took great chances. He was really big in the 60s and 70s and he did bold colours, bold patterns, strong. He didn't do anything by halves. And so for me, he's I look to him all the time. I think his work is incredible. And he used used actually burgundy. And he also used, burgundy, I'll tell you about the story with that. I should have told it in the burgundy episode, but I didn't. He uses this sort of plum colour, which I think is fabulous, and purples. He uses them all.
We've got some beautiful imagery here.
Yeah.
I mean, now might be a wonderful time to just
show.
Talk about, for those people listening to describe it, but those people watching on YouTube.
So this photograph, I think is absolutely fantastic. Actually, for many years, I have to admit, I thought the back wall was done in a plum colour. But in fact, it isn't done in plum. It's done in a deep, rich brown. So, I mean, this is partly to do with what we're talking about here. What colours, how do you use it in a room? And I think that
plums and browns
work
as demonstrated here,
Yeah.
But with whites and golds.
He's got this wonderful purple, the back of that chair. Well, I think the front of the chairs are as well. I've seen other photographs of that room. And I love the gold and the whites. So it's the whites, the gold, the purple,
and the brown.
plum and the brown. It's just, I mean, I love that
Very,
room.
very, very sophisticated.
It's very lovely. And that doesn't look at all cheap.
No. But he also used so in this particular photo, the colour purple really is just on those chairs. But he used a lot of purple on the walls, the whole wall, didn't he, as well?
He did.
Which, as you say, he went for it. He was go big or go home. And
go big or go home.
And I love that because it has more impact, doesn't it?
Yes, I think so.
There's one photo I've got here, and I think this is David Hicks, where there's lots and lots of paintings all over that wall with gilded gold frames.
Which one are you talking about? That one?
Banister. Is that David Hicks?
I think it is. Yes, I think so.
That one I love.
This one here.
Yes.
We got the same one,
because the artwork really the wall. Well, I don't know what happens. Is it the artwork that brings the wall to life, or is it the wall that brings the artwork to life? But either way.
A bit of both, I think. Yeah. And what is interesting, you remember blue recedes. So blue really recedes, but purple, plum, there's some warmth in there because obviously purple or plum is made from red and blue. Mm-hmm. So the blue goes back, the red goes forward. So it's in the middle there.
That's interesting. So
Isn't
purple sort of does a bit of both. Somehow,
it's very warm, especially if it's got a lot of red in it.
Mm-hmm.
If it's got more blue, it's a little bit cooler, but it's still warm because there's red in there.
Absolutely.
So it's a really comforting room. I think the texture of this paint is really important. So if it's too shiny, I don't think it would have it's got a nice, quite a matte look to it. Yeah. But yes, look, actually, they're quite similar colours in this picture, isn't there? Because there's the purple, the gold again.
Oh yeah,
the white.
We've said purple and gold. Great combination.
Beautiful. So it's really regal.
Always lots of whites and off whites.
Yeah, and actually, that little bit of red over there looks really good. And I think there's some blue in there too. Yeah, it's really, really nice.
There's one image here which I'm not a huge fan of, but we're going to talk about it, and I love the story behind it. I think it's this image. So the one where it's very, very, very purple.
Okay.
I mean, there's a purple wall, there's purple chairs. For me, that's a bit too bright, and that's not like Tyrian Plum.
Unfortunately, there's only this photograph on the internet, so I don't know how right this is. It is really strong.
It is very strong. Is that... Before we talk about the story, which I love, when you have that sort of purple, which is very purple, is that more blue then? What makes it more
it's
vivid?
Interesting because that chair is quite reddish, isn't it?
The chairs, the wall,
so the wall is bluer than that. Yeah. So I think it is actually quite blue. I think it's the intensity. It doesn't have anything knocking it back to make it a little bit more, less coming forward. So that's this is done in the 60s.
Yes.
So I think I know the company. It's not a company that exists anymore, but that would have been a
bluey purple.
A slightly bluey purple.
Okay. We're getting technical, but it's interesting because it's very different to Tyrian Plum, but it is all in that family.
Yes, it is, and I think that's interesting. Interestingly, there's another reason why it looks quite strong, because the complementary of purple is yellow. And there's a huge, great painting there in yellow, bright yellow.
It really stands out, doesn't it?
It really stands out. I don't know.
I actually think I'd love that room more if that picture wasn't there.
It is really strong.
It kind of makes you, pulls you in.
Well, you know what happens if you put the complementary, especially one which is so equally, completely opposite, you'll make the purple look stronger.
Maybe that's it then.
I think it could be.
Because the image on the other side, great. And if there was a similar one on the other side, I think it would have more balance.
And actually, go back to that, that's got brown in it. And that brown just does make the whole thing look quite soft, a lot softer. But it's, again, gold. Of course, I just realised gold is yellow, sort of, isn't it?
We're learning every day. But am I correct in thinking that this is Helena Rubinstein's London apartment?
Yeah.
And there's a really great story here about how it came to be.
can I just say who Helena Rubinstein is? Because I think a lot of people may not know. She was a huge cosmetics company and a wonderful, rather wonderful woman who introduced all of this smells and potions and all the rest of it. Her company must have been taken over because I don't ever see it anymore.
I think it's a name.
No,
today.
It was huge when I was a child. I think my mother had perfumes and all sorts of things.
Oh, nice!
I know, it was lovely, and she was rather a wonderful looking woman as well. She looked. I think she may have come from Russia. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Anyway, yes.
So this is 1960s. She's very well known
She'll
at the time. She
known.
lived in London.
Yeah. And she asked David Hicks.
Yes. Okay.
David Hicks
There's a link.
To do the design. And he said, have you got a colour scheme? And she said, yes. And tell the story. Because
I love it the way you've written it. As she's reclining on her chaise and having this conversation with David Hicks, who's probably been invited round to discuss the commission, I'm imagining, she reclined back in her purple Balenciaga dress, and she called for her assistant to bring her some scissors because the colour of her Balenciaga dress was the exact shade of purple she wanted her room to be. Which is amazing. So she chopped up her Balenciaga dress, as you do.
I do, yeah.
All the time. And he took that swatch away, presumably, and there we go.
Matched it in some way or another and brought it all together. So I think it's a great story.
Sadly, she never could have worn that dress in the room again because it would have had a gaping great hole cut out of it. Well, that would have been the picture we needed there.
I imagine it was partly from the hem. I hope so. Because I'd love her to sit in that room.
I know.
She would have disappeared.
Exactly. But I think that's a great story, isn't it? Yeah. No phones back then to just quickly, colour match. It just chop it off.
Anyway, I do think, although this is a bit much, I think you're right. It is a bit much, but it is quite inspiring. Mm-hmm. And I think the room and the purple chairs and everything.
It is, because it shows you which colours purple works with.
And again, do you know what? Brown carpet. Did you see that? Yeah, brown carpet. Yeah.
But if you want to see Tyrian Plum imagery, if you go onto the Annie Sloan website and look either at the wall paint or the chalk paint, there's some beautiful imagery of Tyrian Plum. We've just been talking about it, one in particular with where it's used with canvas, which is a new neutral, and Chateau Grey. And I think that looks, we were just having a conversation before we recorded how classy and wonderful that image is. Yeah. I love the colour combination. I love the composition. Top marks.
Thank you very much. That was Chateau Grey there, canvas and...
French linen,
I
think. Yeah. And an old white floor, maybe.
And this chair, I think am I sitting
You're
in it?
Sat in it.
I'm sitting in it.
As if we didn't plan that.
Didn't plan that.
No.
And that's Chateau Grey as well. And there's a white and...
It's a beautiful image. And that's Tyrian Plum. So that shows the true colour, which is very gorgeous.
It is really gorgeous. Really lovely. I'm very, very pleased with it. Yeah.
So we've spoken about how to use it with whites and golds and browns and all of the garden flower colours. You've also chosen Tyrian Plum to be one of your Christmas colours for the campaign, which we have spoken about on a previous episode. And I want to know, why did you include Tyrian Plum with those other bright colours?
Oh, that's a really good question. I loved the way it seemed to be. It has the sort of the specialness of the, it's quite royal and royal family and very good for, Jesus and all the rest of it. It goes well with gold. I thought that was lovely. It has a sort of seriousness about it because the rest of the Matisse colours are quite sort of pretty, not pretty. Playful. And I wanted something to make it, look, this is serious.
We are serious people.
Very serious people.
I completely
But it
get
needed
that.
something to pull it together in a way. And so I've become more and more in love with this colour. I just want to use it. I was talking about, I don't actually have it in this house, but I've got plans for it in 2 rooms. So I'm really excited
about it. As a wall paint?
As a wall paint particularly, I want wall paint. So I'm going to do it in my house in France, in a bedroom. I think that will be really lovely. And because it's actually a lot of children sleep in that room, because I'm going to make it plum, I can add lots of other colours, and I think I'm going to be able to make it quite rich
sort
and
of
beautiful.
Goes back to what we were saying about the vase with, all the colours pretty much working with it for some weird reason. And that's, I suppose, a bit like the Matismus Christmas campaign, that actually it works with a lot of different colours, doesn't it? And you could have added more in.
And I'm going to use it upstairs is my dressing room. I laughingly call it my dressing room. Yes. It's the room where I throw everything in. But I do have all my clothes there. And for years I've been going, I've got to decorate this. I've got to decorate it. And I painted it the wrong colour many years ago. And there's nothing like that for making
that would be lovely for a dressing room because, as we've said, many colours would go with it so well. Yeah. So it could...
I quite fancy making it quite sort of gold and gorgeous and quite sophisticated to match my soul.
I think you absolutely should. I'm imagining a sort of Sex and the City dressing room, when she went in and had all her shoes everywhere and this huge great thing in the middle. Is it similar to that upstairs?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, let's do it.
I'm going to change it.
I think that would be great.
Yeah.
But it's incredible when we think back that one tiny little sea snail has brought this colour to the world, and we're now sitting here talking about it in such detail, but it all comes down to this one little snail, which is magnificent to think of.
Magnificent.
Who's this? So you're showing another image here.
These are both these. This one and this one are both David Hicks. Because he's 60s, these are quite 60s, aren't they?
But very versatile as a designer, because that's completely different to two of the other images we just saw.
I depend who he's working for and where he was working. I mean, if it was a country house or whether it was a London apartment. But this, I think, is quite modern. Mm-hmm. And I see the yellow again,
yellow,
which I find a little bit too bright. But there we are. But I love the yellow of the sofa.
That image works for me much more than the other one. Yeah.
And the floor and the red here as well. I really love the red. And orange. I think that is amazing. So I just wanted to show you how I've done that in So this was... Oh, it's not a very good photograph of it.
No, but I know the piece and the photo.
So this is a piece I painted, and this is when I really, really fell in love with my colour, because I put red inside. So it was a bit like the waistcoat, the red waistcoat, and I just think it looks amazing, and it's got green, so green and red. So, we just keep saying the colour goes with a lot of things.
Is there a colour it doesn't go with? Someone's probably listening thinking, well, what can't I put it with?
Well, you
What's
see orange,
not going to work?
Red.
It all goes.
Yeah. I think
can't
it's pretty good.
In my head of a colour that wouldn't work with
bad.
it, really.
Yeah.
We'll probably find one. But beautiful. And all that imagery is on the website as well, because that's relating to the chalk paint, isn't it? So you'll see examples of furniture painted with capability green, empress silk, all sorts of variations.
Yeah.
Quite a few pieces on there.
White and gold.
Yeah.
Everything.
Well, I think it's amazing. I think it's a really wonderful colour. And I've loved this episode because I think, as I say, it comes back to just a tiny little sea creature, which is really
I want
weird.
to ask you, have you got it in your house?
No. It's not as a wall colour, but touches of it here and there.
Because you do use it in, I think you've used it in pieces that you've done for people, commissions.
Yeah, I use it. And what I've found really interesting, and I think everyone has, the Tyrian Plum came out as a chalk paint colour alongside 4 others. And they were never designed to be released as a set, that kind of a collection. But actually, the amount of people we're seeing using them together is quite amazing. It's good. Jaipur Pink and Tyrian I love together. We've spoken about Canvas being the backdrop with Tyrian, and the others as well. So it surprised me how much I've used it with all of the other new colours as well. But no, I haven't got a purple piece. A
plum piece. A plum piece. I should say, actually, the colour that is in plum, the plum... is actually Paloma, would be your neutral, because in Paloma is purple and yellow. So
I've got a chair painted in Paloma in our living room, so I could
do something.
introduce some. And I never repaint furniture. Once I've done it, even if it doesn't sell or whatever, I just think it's a moment in time, and I don't like to repaint it. But I've got a little cabinet that is damaged, sadly. So I think I might.
There we are.
Yeah.
Or paint a cushion.
Paint a cushion.
For the chair.
Yeah.
There we are. Okay.
Anyway.
Well, there we are.
Oh, you're going to be doing your dressing room. I'm going to be painting everything purple.
Yeah.
Purple and plum. But yeah, it's been a great episode. Where are we going next? How do we follow on from Tyrian Plum?
Well, it's funnily enough a similar sort of tone colour. It's strong, and people usually really, really love it. But there are people who dislike it intensely.
I think they should all disappear, because it's one of my favourite colours. Florence.
Florence, yes, exactly.
And that would go brilliantly with Tyrian Plum as well, actually, on that note. Okay, so next time, Florence, thank you for listening. As always, follow and like and subscribe and do all of those things on all of the channels. It's now on YouTube as well, which is very exciting. Should we give a little wave?
Hello.
We don't tend to acknowledge the camera, but
well, I try not to, because if I do, I feel I'm going to be talking to them, and I really want to be talking to you.
Yeah. But there we go.
Yeah, thank you very much, everybody.
See you next time.
See you next time.